Hi Year 10s. By now, a number of you have actually finished the required work health and safety Moodle program that you were required to do before you do work experience. So I just want to congratulate those who have actually finished it. I'm finding that mainly it's boys that have finished their work earlier than anybody else, and in particular it's boys who are really focused on finding themselves an opportunity for employment after school, perhaps interested in an apprenticeship, and they've already started talking to me about that. So massive congratulations to you guys. I'm making this really quick video just to explain to you what the next steps are after you've finished that required workplace preparation program. So this video explains how to organise a work experience placement. Firstly, work experience allows young people to explore the workplace so that they are able to make informed decisions and have some choice in their life. They also can start to get an understanding about what kind of educational and training pathways they'll need to pursue. So when you organise your placement, what can you get from it? Well, number one, you can gain experience in applying for jobs. So you can actually feel a little bit more confident when you apply for a real job about talking to employers or stepping outside of your comfort zone. You would have had some practice at making phone calls, at introducing yourself to someone new in the workplace. And so it's a great opportunity for that. Secondly, it's a really good opportunity to get your foot in the door with an employer. So if you are really focused on getting an apprenticeship, for instance, you might go and do work experience at companies that potentially will be looking for apprentices. So that way, at the end of your workplace experience, you can actually leave a copy of your resume, and if you've impressed them enough, when they need an apprentice, they might actually give you a call. So it's a really good opportunity to, get that foot in the door. You do get to gain on-the-job experience and skills, and that is invaluable on your resume. So down the track, 2 years, 3 years, when you are applying for positions, if you've got some genuine work experience, then you're going to be much more employable than another person applying for the job who doesn't. On that note, if you are really focused on a specific industry and you do 2 or 3 experiences in that kind of workplace, then that demonstrates your commitment even more. You can gain insight into what it's like to work. I think often that we have lots of expectations or understandings about what work is like, and lots of students say to me that if they were getting paid for what they were doing, then it would be so much easier. But actually, until you find a job that you're really passionate about and that you enjoy getting up for every single day, work can be a really challenging job. So remember, you're at school for 13 years. You're actually in the workplace for about 55. So it's really important that you make some decisions about a workplace that is really suited to you. Work experience is your opportunity to do that. So work experience is a really great way to find out whether the reality of the workplace actually matches your expectations. You may have grown up all your life wanting to be a firefighter, but then when you get out there, you find that the jobs that you have to do just don't meet what you expected you would be doing, and that there's no joy in it whatsoever. It's a great stepping stone to paid employment. The more work experience that you can get under your belt and added to your resume, the more employable that you are. You can undertake extra work experience placements during the school holidays. If you fill in the forms that you're going to fill in for this placement, then we can insure you. So that ensures that your employer and yourself are both safe should anything go wrong. You should never be on a work site without insurance. As a paid employee, you already have insurance through the paperwork that you complete to be employed there. But before that, you do need to be insured, and we can do that as a school for you. Work experience allows you to explore a particular job or industry. So again, just really seeing if it meets your expectations, or maybe it's just something that you would just like to consider and compare against another work experience placement in a completely different industry and really find out what you're suited to. It's a way to increase your employability skills. So you'll develop a set of skills whilst you're out in the workplace that you couldn't develop whilst you're at school, and these are transferable to other positions in the future. So let's say you answer the phones in the workplace. That's not something that you would do at school, and yet it's a really great skill to have to set you up for future employment opportunities. So how do you get work experience? Firstly, and this is why I'm so proud of those students who have actually finished off their program, you actually need to organise it early. So there's likely to be other students who are trying to get in to do work experience with the same organisation. And so you need to be the first one there. You need to be organised and on top of it. I guess the key thing to remember is just go for it. This is, you'll find that if you're passionate and really keen to learn, lots of employers are really supportive of it. In saying that, you may also find that some employers don't want to have a bar of taking a work experience student on, and so you've got to leave yourself time to try making, maybe 10, 15, 20 phone calls before you're going to find a place that will take you on. Other ways to find a placement is to ask your family and friends. DECT does not allow students to undertake work experience with family members. So by that we mean it is an opportunity for you to step outside of your comfort zone. It's not a learning experience where you should be really within that comfort zone. You can look on job-seeking sites such as Career One, and that can be a really good idea for looking for local employers who are actually seeking staff, particularly if you're wanting to open up the employment opportunities pathway for yourself. Talk to your home group teachers, see if they've got ideas or contacts in the local community. Directly contact employers by visiting, so be prepared though with what you want to say. Search the internet, so look on Yellow Pages or use Google to search for companies within travelling distance for you that you might not have even thought about, and then make some phone calls. Please remember that first impressions count, so be really organised with all of your information before you make a phone call. Okay, the steps are, number 1, fill in the student details on the work experience form and have parents sign and date the form. So once you have actually completed your work experience placement program, you need to send a copy of your certificate of completion to Mrs. Richardson, and she will then record that you are ready to start organising your work experience placement. You can then pop by her office and get a work experience pack, and inside there will be some forms to be completed. There's a section that you and your parents have to sign, a section that the employer has to sign, and a section that the principal has to sign. And in each of those sections there's a booklet that goes along with it, and that must be read by yourself for the student copy, your parents or caregivers for the other copy, and there's one copy that has to go to employers as well. This is a legal requirement, so you must make sure that each party gets that booklet along the way, and that's what this step down here is about. So the student and parent must read through that work experience booklet. You must give a copy to the employer, and then they would complete the section of the form that's required by them. You then need to bring that form back and you need to give it to Mrs. Richardson. She will then get the principal to sign off on your placement, and we'll discuss whether we think it's an appropriate placement for you, and then you'll be advised as to when your insurance is organised. Okay, so all of this has to happen within a certain timeline, and there's a lot to it. So we have to do risk assessments, and we have to make sure that it is a safe working environment for you. So please don't leave that too late. We're very clear deadlines and we won't be able to move on those, okay? So the work experience booklet that I've been talking about has got some clear guidelines in it, and this is for you as the employee and also for the employer as well. So this explains the insurance that covers the workplace learning activity. There's extracts from 3 legislative documents that both you and your employer will need to know. So that's Work Health and Safety, the Equality Act, the Equal Opportunity Act, I should say, and also the Child Protection Act. So again, we have a responsibility to make sure that your placement is really safe. And so this is necessary information for the employer to see. There's a range of forms and checklists and brochures and policies to help schools organise their work placements, and also there's some conditions there about your work placement that your employer will need to know about as well. So once you've got the forms and you've done your research and you've found a few places that you would like to go, you need to start making a phone call or dropping in to see employers. My recommendation is to write a script. You may think that this is the most natural thing on earth, but actually, if someone answers the phone and you just get all butterflies in your stomach and you don't really know what to say, it can be really awkward. So it's important that you write a script and you practice your call. So you can get your mum or your brother to pretend to be the employer and you actually make the phone call, so that you've practiced it a few times and you know what to say prior to making that phone call. Now, I've had a number of students in the past tell me that they have done it, but then they've made 25 phone calls and still haven't found a work placement. So we've practiced that phone call, and as it happens, they didn't practice what they were saying, and they did sound really awkward and unprofessional. This is a different world to school. And so there is an expectation that you demonstrate to an employer that you are really keen, and therefore you need to make sure that you are well prepared for this phone call. So the purpose of this phone call is to introduce yourself, explain that you are a Year 10 student from Kapunda High School and that you are seeking a work experience opportunity. Please don't ask the employers if they do work experience. They don't need to do work experience, they've already got a job. So you need to be asking if there would be a work experience opportunity available. That is your purpose for calling. So you are seeking that work experience opportunity, okay? You need to be prepared with the dates, so make sure you have them written down in front of you. And it's really important that you have a pen and paper with you so that you can actually write down contact details, the person who you spoke to, any other details that they may need from you or give to you. So they might tell you that you have to have steel cap boots or a high-vis shirt, etc. The work experience dates for 2017 are the 14th to the 18th of August. That is term 3, week 4. We are about 8 weeks away from that maybe. So we are accepting forms up until and not after at all the 28th of July, okay? So your form must be in by the 28th of July, which is the Friday of week 1 in term 3. If you do not submit your form by that date, then you are unable to attend work experience. So if you are genuinely wanting to have that work experience opportunity, please get on and organise that. If you don't organise a work experience placement, we do have an alternative task, and you will have to submit it because either one, the work experience placement or the alternative task, are both the first of your PLP tasks for this year. So we'll explain that more when you get to PLP, but please understand it is not a choice for you to either not come to school during that week if you don't have a placement. You actually do have to come to school and you will have to do this alternative task. If you've got any questions, can you please send them to me via DayMap? I'm really happy to answer anything that you're unclear about. I'd also really like you to practice your script with your home group teacher. Thank you.